Alright, what is up everybody? I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. And here we have Progressive Skills in English Level 2 coursebook. And in today's recording, we're going to be going over Theme 1, Culture and Civilization. So before we start, let's talk a little bit about what we'll actually see in terms of topics in Culture and Civilization. So we have Coming of Age, Festivals, so probably different festivals and rituals, fireworks, horses and bulls, and finally celebrations. Okay, so now let's hop into the listening section here. Let's start with 1.1. Here we have real-time listening, but before we actually do any listening, we have exercise A, previewing vocabulary, right? So study the photographs on the opposite page. Where do you think each ceremony is taking place? And number 2, what rituals do you think are involved? Okay, so let's take a look at all of these pictures. And what do you guys think, what are people doing in these different pictures, right? And can you kind of guess where are or what is happening in each picture? And where are they, in the world? Which country, for example? So I'll probably say here it's probably like a wedding of some sort, right? And they're probably somewhere like maybe Canada, maybe Europe, something like that, maybe Spain, I'm guessing. Okay, so these are the different pictures. Just have a guess at it, right? What are people doing? Obviously different people. I think this is a church, by the way. I'm not too sure though. Okay, so what do we have after that? We have activating ideas, exercise B. So, Juri Taku is an anthropology student. She's going to talk to her study group about a festival in Japan, and we'll hear this talk later on. Make a list of questions you expect to hear the answers to. Okay, so you guys, let's say for example, I came into your room suddenly and I told you Juri Taku is an anthropology student and she's going to give you a talk about a certain festival in Japan. What will your first questions be? What will the questions that come into your head as soon as I say those words be? I mean, for me personally, I'd ask questions like, who is Juri, right? Who the hell is Juri? I don't know what you're talking about. And once I know the answer to that, I'll probably say, what is she going to talk about, right? I know that I already said a festival in Japan, but I'm gonna ask again just to see if I get a more specific answer, right? So you guys gotta always ask yourselves these questions, okay? So for example, who is Juri? She is an anthropology student. What is she going to talk about? She's going to talk about a festival in Japan, okay? So here we have exercise C now. Now this is where we start the listening. Let me open this. Okay. So I'm going to actually start with the full listening, okay? Because the first one has a few pauses and he wants us to predict the word, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm just going to start with the full audio, okay? And which questions in exercise B does Juri answer? So this will depend on you as a student. How many questions did you set in place when I told you in exercise B? Like I would come bash into your room and talk to you about Juri and her talk, right? So depending on how many or questions you have, you'll find if Juri answers most of them in this listening right here. Okay? Here, have a listen.
Track 1.2.
I'm going to talk to you today about a festival in Japan. The festival is called Seijin no Hi, which is spelt S-E-I-J-I-N-N-O-H-I. The name means the Coming of Age Festival. It is a very old festival. It started at least 800 years ago. Coming of age is celebrated all around the world. Coming of age means a child becomes an adult. In some countries, it is only for boys or only for girls. But in Japan, the festival is for boys and girls. In some countries, children come of age at 18 or 16 or even 14, but in Japan, coming of age happens at 20 years old. The festival takes place on the second Monday of January each year. So all boys and girls who become 20 that year can take part in the Seijin no Hi. Coming of age means different things in different countries. In some countries, it means you can drive a car. In other countries, it means you can get married. In Japan, it means you can vote and smoke. The day starts with a ceremony in the local town hall. Town halls are local government offices. The ceremony is called Seijin Shiki. First, a government official makes a speech. Then he gives each boy and girl a small present. Before going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses called kimonos. The word is spelt Kimono. They usually rent the kimonos because these special dresses can cost as much as a car. The boys used to wear dark kimonos too, but now most of them wear business suits. After attending the ceremony, the new adults go to special parties. Finally, the young people go home. It is usually very late at night. They went out in the morning as children. They go home as adults.
All right, that was a really interesting audio. So now let's go to exercise D, but actually let me just take that back. Before we do that, I have sort of an optional activity. Not really optional, I just asked this before. So you guys remember the questions that I told you about? Yeah, I'd like you to discuss them. Obviously, if you guys are sitting together, have a discussion about, if your questions were the same from exercise B. So my personal questions were obviously other than the two, so who is jury and what is that festival? I wanted to also ask, where is the festival exactly? And based on the listening that I just heard, or the audio, it's in Japan, right? And what is it called? It's called Seinohai, okay? And who exactly is it for? Okay, that's all. That was also one of my important questions. And from that, I think I got the answer, like all young people who become 20 years old in that year, right? Or in that specific year. That's what that festival is for. Okay? And why exactly is the occasion important? And I actually got that from the audio as well. So it's simply because in Japan, after you're 20 years old, you can vote and smoke. Okay? Anything else that's special? Yeah. Women wear kimonos, the special outfits that they do. The kimonos are often rented because they can cost as much as a car, right? And the men mostly wear business suits, although, before that they used to wear dark kimonos. Okay? And finally, my final question, I should say, what happens after the ceremony? And for that, I got the answer: the young adults go to special parties. Okay? So now that we got that out of the way, that was, a simple kind of question and answer. Now here we have exercise D, making notes. Okay, so make notes about jury's talk in the table on the right. Okay, so here we have the table. Okay, and actually, before I do that, and actually these questions are sort of similar to what I had from exercise B, but that's okay because I was taking notes as well, so these kind of correlate. So I wanted to tell you guys that when taking notes, it's a good idea to take notes in the form of questions, right? I know this can be sometimes it can be really tough to pull off when a lecturer is speaking quickly, but you gotta train yourself to take notes in the form of questions. So instead of saying this is called dash dash dash, I'll probably say in my head, what is it called? And then I'll put the answer down. That way I can retain the information better, right? You get what I mean? Who is it for? So instead of saying this is for dash dash dash, you say it in your head, who is it for? You're preparing yourself mentally to understand the material better and to memorize it a lot better as well by asking yourself these questions instead of just writing it down mindlessly. Okay? So here we have, where is the festival? Again, Japan. What is it called? Say no hi. Already said that. Who is it for? Young people who become 20 years old in that specific year. When is it? I think actually I know this. It's the second Monday of January. Yeah, it's the second Monday of January. And why is the occasion important? It's because in Japan, after you're 20, you can smoke and vote. Okay? What happens on the day? Let me actually. What happens on the day? I think I got this right. There is a ceremony in local town halls, I think, and government officials make speeches and give small presents to the new adults or 20-year-olds. And do the people wear special clothes? And yeah, we said this, women wear kimonos, and kimonos are often rented as they can cost as much as a car, and men just mostly wear business suits. And finally, what happens after the ceremony? The young adults go to special parties. Okay, this one's really similar to the notes I took in exercise B and C. Okay, but now we have exercise E, understanding spoken definitions. Okay, so how does jury define these words? Okay, so when listening to a certain audio, you gotta be able to kind of have definitions for certain words. So if someone told me, what is town hall, right? I probably wouldn't be able to give an accurate definition. Or what is a kimono, right? So listen to the audio again, but this time focus on the information, or the definitions, I should say, okay, of these words. I'll let it play, but as we go, I'll be pausing it to write down the definitions. Here you go. Have a listen.
Track 1.2.
I'm going to talk to you today about a festival in Japan. The festival is called Seijin no Hi, which is spelt Seijin-no-Hi. The name means the Coming of Age Festival.
Okay, so Seijin no Hi, I was pronouncing that wrong, but now I got that right. Okay, so what is the definition for what that means? So I'll probably say, as we just heard, it's the coming of age festival. Right, you guys? So, the coming of age festival. And one more thing I encourage you to do is to not take pauses, or you're not really going to have much of a choice. So you gotta, adapt to taking notes under pressure, right? Because you cannot just ask a lecturer to stop the whole lecture for you to take notes, or have a couple more minutes to finalize your notes. So you gotta find ways to improvise your notes so you can be as efficient as possible in class, right? And so you don't lose, valuable notes in the process. Okay, you guys? Let's keep going.
It is a very old festival. It started at least 800 years ago. Coming of age is celebrated all around the world. Coming of age means a child becomes an adult. In some countries, it is only for boys or only for girls. But in Japan, the festival is for boys and girls. In some countries, children come of age at 18 or 16 or even 14. But in Japan, coming of age happens at 20 years old. The festival takes place on the second Monday of January each year. So all boys and girls who become 20 that year can take part in the Seijin no Hi. Coming of age means different things in different countries. In some countries, it means you can drive a car. In other countries, it means you can get married. In Japan, it means you can vote and smoke. The day starts with a ceremony in the local town hall. Town halls are local government offices.
Okay, so I hope you guys were able to get that. So what are town halls? So town halls are basically offices, okay, of local government, right? These are called, let me actually write that N down, okay? So offices of local government is called a town hall, or different town halls, okay? Let's see if we'll get the rest.
The ceremony is called Seijin Shiki.
Okay, so Seijin Shiki, we talked about town hall and offices of local government, so it's probably, this is a guessing by the way, a ceremony in the town hall.
First, a government official makes a speech. Then he gives each boy and girl a small present.
Okay, so it's pretty obvious now. So local government, right, town hall, and people from the government giving speeches. So we can probably say Seijin Shiki is a ceremony. Write that down. Ceremony in the town hall. Okay, let's keep going.
Before going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses called kimonos.
Okay, so here we have kimono, and what is kimono exactly? Kimono is a traditional Japanese dress. Okay, so traditional, right? Japanese, let me write that in capital, Japanese dress. Okay, so we were able to get all of them. So Seijin no Hi, the coming of age festival, Seijin Shiki, ceremony in the town hall, and what is a town hall? It's we can probably say offices or an office of local government. Let me write that as an office. Okay, and an office, let me get rid of that S for you guys. So an office of local government, and finally kimono, a traditional Japanese dress. Okay, let's keep going. We're not going to use these notes anymore, but just stay attentive to the information in the audio.
The word is spelt K-I-M-O-N-O. They usually rent the kimonos because these special dresses can cost as much as a car. The boys used to wear dark kimonos too, but now most of them wear business suits. After attending the ceremony, the new adults go to special parties. Finally, the young people go home. It is usually very late at night. They went out in the morning as children. They go home as adults.
Alright, now let's move on to exercise F. Here we have identifying words from a stressed syllable. And I think you guys have an idea of what a stressed syllable means, right? So let me actually open this first. So we have identifying words from the stressed syllable. Okay, so you pronounce a word, but based on the stress of that word, right, is how you pronounce it. Okay, so for example, when I say government, you can see that stress on the first part, right? So I don't say government, I say government, right? You can see that G in the beginning, right? So we'll underline this part right here, and that's basically how you underline the stressed syllable. Pronounce the word and see where the stress is. So for example, B, I say celebrated, right? Celebrated. You see that C in the beginning? Celebrated. I don't say celebrated, I say celebrated. Okay, so that C is the stress. Okay, so CE. And then we have ceremony. Again, same exact thing as B. So again, CE. So ceremony. And then we have festival. Okay, we also have the stress on the FE. All right, and here we have official, right? The stress is on the O and F. Okay, basically think of it as the words being cut up into different pieces, and the stress is on one of those pieces. Okay, so official, and the stress is more of on the O rather than the F. Okay, then we have attend. Also, the stress is at the A and T, but it's more towards the A, right? And then we have adult. And you can see adult, we have the A and D, and we have the stress on both A and D. And then we have H, traditional. And what do you guys think? Traditional. Yes, that's correct. the stress is on that DE in the middle. So it's not on not on dition, and not AL. So traditional. You see that D when I say it? Traditional. Okay? And then we have present, present, and this one's obvious. That P has the stressed on it. Okay? And finally we have special, special, special. You see that S in the beginning? S, special, special. Okay? So stress on the S. Okay? So here we have, listen to some sentences, number the words above in order. Okay, so we're going to be listening to some sentences, and these sentences will have these words, and based on the, for example, if I hear the word ceremony first, I'll write that down as number 1 because I heard it first. Adult, number 2, I'll write 2 down. Okay, so number the words above in the correct order. Okay, here, let's have a listen.
Track 1.3.
1. I'm going to talk to you today about a festival. 2. An official makes a speech. 3. There is a ceremony at the town hall. 4. Each boy and girl receives a present. 5. Coming of age is when a child becomes an adult. 6. All the young men and women attend. 7. After that, there are special parties. 8. This is a traditional event in Japan. 9. Coming of age is celebrated all around the world. 10. Town halls are local government offices.
Okay, so these were the words, and in this order right here. So we have government, celebrated, ceremony, festival, official, attend, adult, traditional, present, and finally special. Okay? And before we go off, here we have the vocabulary box. And what I want you guys to do, because we'll have a lot of these as we go through the themes and lessons, is I want you to pause the video a little bit, write them down so you don't forget the spelling, and try to get your pronunciation, make it better. Try to get it as close to me as possible, okay? So pause the video multiple times if you have to, that's totally fine, and practice that pronunciation and spelling, okay? This will get better over time and you'll know more words, okay? So let's start. Adult, anthropology, attend, celebrate, ceremony, festival, official, traditional. Okay, you guys? So that was the vocabulary box. Now let's move on. Alright, you guys, so here we have 1.2, learning new listening skills, right? So following a sequence of different events. And here we have exercise A, reviewing keywords. So let me actually open this for you guys. So we have study the pairs of words below. Okay, so we have different words, and I'll actually say them before we start. So, festival, first of all, sell, celebrate, ceremony, money, scent, present, ritual, written, part, party, traditional, dish, event, evening, pass, past, official, officer. And you can see when it comes to pronunciation, these words are actually kind of similar. They're not really similar, but when speaking quickly, they can sound similar, okay? So now we're going to take a listen at 1.4 here, this audio, and we're going to take the word we hear in each different case. For example, in in A, we'll have to choose between festival or first of all, depending on how you hear it, okay? So one is obviously correct, and we're going to be taking them as we go. Okay, you guys? Here we go. Let's go.
Track 1.4. A.
First of all, I'm going to talk about coming of age in general.
B.
People celebrate festivals all over the world.
C.
At the start of the ceremony, everyone sings a song.
D.
She got a present from her friends.
E.
There is always a ritual involved in a festival.
F.
We have a big party after the ceremony.
G.
Everybody eats a traditional meal.
H.
The main event is in the morning.
I.
Parents pass rituals on to their children.
J.
There is an official dinner in the evening.
Okay, you guys, so now that we got the words out of the way, let's move on. Actually, before we do that, here we have another vocab box, okay? So we talked about this. You guys are gonna pause the video, write them down, and then focus on the pronunciation a bit, and then let's move on. So here we go. Candle, event, government, present, ritual, special, speech, suit. Okay? Now let's go to exercise B here. Identifying vowel sounds. Let's actually hop to the pronunciation check before we do that. So, hearing vowels. So, the vowel sound in the word new, you guys can see that E. So, new is written in many ways, right? So, I can say new, few, sue, right? That ew sound is written in many different ways. However, different ways can make other sounds, or not sounds, other sounds, okay? So, I can say new, few, sue, but writing different vowel sounds can also have, or they can have different sounds during pronunciation. So let me give you guys an example before I lose you. So we have that ew sound, right? So new, few, and sue. Okay, pretty similar. But now when you have that vowel sound of UE, it becomes, I can say true, blue, but take a look here. Colleague, colleague. You see how different? I don't say colleague. I say colleague, right? So true, blue, but colleague, so other sound. Not wrong, it's just different. Okay, so that oo vowel sound can also be said as colleague, eek. And then you have you, just a simple you. I could say used, but look at this, different sounds as well. Cut and put. Okay, it's a U, but I said cut, or I said put. Okay, so different sounds. And then you have UI, as in suit, or you could also say build. So suit, you see your lips go forward a little bit, or you could say build. Your mouth goes back a little bit. So you see, different sounds as well. Then we have OU, you, and also about. So from you to ow, about, ow. You see that? So again, different sounds. O, as in do, who, or go. Okay, slightly different, not that bad. And then we have OO, so to, or book. You see? So from to simply book, ook. From oo to book. Okay? And then OE, shoe, or does. Okay? Again, you guys can see the difference in pronunciation. And O in the middle of a word and E at the end, so move or love. Okay? Move as in oo and love as in ah. So love, la, love. Okay? So, the bottom line is always check the pronunciation of a new word with these combination of letters, okay? Because you never know, you could be you know, oh, this vowel it's probably pronounced like this and that, and then you realize it's so different, like as in true and colleague, okay? So different. All right? So now we have word compares. What do all the words below have in common? They all have vowels in them, right? So new, few, true, blue, suit, you, do, who. And as you can see, they all kind of rhyme as well. They have that rhyming to it. Obviously, they're all spelled differently, but they have that rhyme, okay? We already read the pronunciation check. How do you pronounce all the other words in the pronunciation check? We already did that as well, okay? So here we have, oh, let me go back. Identifying a new skill. And let me actually open this for you guys. Okay, so write one word in each space. Before we do that, let's go to skills check so we can solve this exercise. So we have speakers often help listeners with signpost words. So what are signpost words exactly? They're words that help listeners understand the organization of their talking, right? So when a speaker is talking, and you guys probably do this in your default language, not default, that I sound like a bot, just your mother tongue basically, is when speaking to someone, especially when giving a lecture or talking about a certain topic, right? You try to help listeners, obviously doing it without, thinking about it. You kind of help them understand the organization of what you're saying, right? So you don't go all over the place, talking about politics, for example, and then switching to a gym. You kind of put things in order so people can understand what you're trying to say, right? So here we have some examples. So basically, when starting with an introduction, this is especially common in lectures when a lecturer has to give a 3-hour lecture, for example. So he has to be very specific and help the listeners, aka the students, understand the organization of his talking or her talking. So we have, I'm going to talk to you today. Now, when someone says this, I already know they're probably talking or giving an introduction of some sort, right? About, and when they say about, they're going to start, naming the topic. And then talking about a certain sequence of events, they can start with saying firstly, or if they're continuing, they'll say secondly and thirdly, right? And a certain sequence, they'll probably say before, then, next, or later. And finally, in the terms of, finishing up the events, we'll say after that, or something similar if it's a speech. Or we could also say finally, as you'll or you'll hear me say a lot during this lecture. When I finish something, I'll probably say, and finally. When I say finally, that means I'm really close to ending the lesson or exercise. Okay, you guys? So now let's go for exercise C here. So this is actually from the audio that was in the last 2 pages, okay? So now, let's what we just talked about here, let's try and put it as in, let's ask ourselves, if we were speaking, what would we say, right? So I'm dash to talk to you today, dash a festival in Japan, right? So if I'm talking, I'll probably say, I'm going to talk to you about, all right? So about a festival in Japan. Okay, here we have B, and here we have a comma, and then a government official makes a speech. So I'm probably making a statement here. So I'll probably start by saying, firstly, right? We talked about this. So, or not first, I could probably say first. I could get away with saying first, okay? So first, a government official makes a speech. Right? So firstly, first, both are correct, no problem. Then we have C, dash, he gives small presents to the new adults. So this is obviously going to be a continuation of the first sentence, so I'll probably say then to add the 2 sentences together. So first, the government official makes a speech, then he gives small presents to the new adults. Right, you guys? Then we have D, going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses. So I know that the girls put on traditional dresses. Going to the ceremony, I'll probably say before, right? Before going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses, right? Makes sense. Then we have E. Attending the ceremony, the new adults go to special parties. Okay, so based on the audio, I know what this is. It's after. Okay, so here we used before going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses, and after attending the ceremony, the new adults go to special parties. And here we have F dash, the young people go home. Oh, okay, so I'm probably ending right here, so I'll say finally, right? Finally, the young people go home, you guys. Okay? So I'm going to talk to you about a festival in Japan. First, a government official makes a speech, then he gives small presents to the new adults. Before going to the ceremony, the girls put on traditional dresses. After attending the ceremony, the new adults go to special parties. Finally, the young people go home. Okay, you guys? That was exercise C. Now, here we have signposts, like we said. What else do we have? Let's go to exercise D. Recognizing a sequence of events. Okay, so let me actually open this. Okay, so you're going to hear about two more coming-of-age ceremonies. So we heard about the one in Japan. Now I think we're going to be hearing one about the USA and Korea. And here we have different pictures about what, each country does, basically. Right? So listen and number the different events in order, right? So we have changes shoes, dances with father, lights candles, sits in a chair, and watches a video. Okay? So we'll be numbering them in order as we go. Okay? Here you go. Have a listen.
Track 1.5.
Sweet 16 is a coming-of-age ceremony for girls in the United States of America. It is for girls who have reached the age of 16. On the day of the ceremony, first, the girl lights 16 candles. The candles represent 16 important people in her life. Then she sits in a chair. Her father helps her take off flat shoes and put on shoes with high heels. Next, the father and daughter dance. Finally, everybody watches a video of the girl from babyhood to the present day.
Sung-Yeon-sik is a coming-of-age ceremony for boys in Korea. It is for boys who have reached the age of 20. Before going to the ceremony, the boy visits the grave of one of his ancestors. At the ceremony, the boy changes his clothes 3 times. After changing his clothes each time, he listens to advice from the guests. After the 3rd time, the guests wish him health, good luck, and a long life. Next, the boy drinks from a special cup and bows to the guests. Then, the boy is given a new name. Finally, the boy is congratulated on becoming an adult.
Okay, so that was actually really interesting. I mean, I knew about the whole Sweet 16 thing in the United States, but I did not know about the coming-of-age ceremony in Korea. It looks so different. So yeah, so here we have different pictures, obviously, cups, presents, Sweet 16, and different shoes. Okay, what else do we have? I think that's about it. Now let's move on. Alright, so here we have exercise E, identifying a new skill 2. Okay, so we're gonna be listening to this audio right here, and we gotta find the subject in each sentence while simultaneously trying to find out if the subject is singular or plural. Okay, so I'll actually play this twice because this is the first time we do an exercise like this together. So I'll let it play the first time, I won't say a word, and then I'll play it again, but that time I'll be saying if it's singular and plural. But I want you to try your best to get them the first time, okay? So here, have a listen, and as we go, I want you to pause or don't pause. In the pauses of the audio, just say singular or plural, okay? Here you go.
Track 1.6.
1. The house is very interesting. 2. The houses are very interesting. 3. The rituals are very strange. 4. The festival is very old. 5. The main event happens in the morning. 6. The parties happen in the evening. 7. The girls sit on the floor. 8. The father dances with his daughter. 9. The mother gives presents to her son. 10. The officials make speeches. 11. The day starts early. 12. The guests watch a video.
Alright, now I'm going to play it one more time. Here we go.
Track 1.6.
1. The house is very interesting.
Singular.
2. The houses are very interesting.
Plural.
3. The rituals are very strange.
Plural.
4. The festival is very old.
Singular.
5. The main event happens in the morning.
Singular.
6. The parties happen in the evening.
Plural.
7. The girls sit on the floor.
Plural.
8. The father dances with his daughter.
Singular.
9. The mother gives presents to her son.
Singular.
10. The officials make speeches.
Plural.
11. The day starts early.
Singular.
12. The guests watch a video.
Plural. Okay, so that's how you guys find the subject and determine if it's singular or plural. I hope you guys kind of got an idea of how to do this, because we actually have one more exercise as we go, okay? So now let's move on to exercise F here, making sentences. And let me actually open this first. So we want to make sentences about a certain festival using the information here. So we have information and we got to turn these into sentences. So how would you guys do it? Okay, so for me personally, here we have the name Hogmanay in to popular Scotland, 500 years old. Okay, so we do have some information. So let's start with number 1. So name Hogmanay. So I can just say the name of the festival is Hogmanay, right? And let me write that correct. Let me write that correctly. Festival is Hogmanay. Okay? And then we have popular Scotland. So I can say, let me just add a full stop here. Popular Scotland, I could say it is very popular in Scotland. Right, you guys? And then number 3, we have this mark that means is over, right? So is over 500 years old. So we could probably say Hogmanay, or it, as in referring to Hogmanay, is over 500 years old. Okay? Then we have number 4, starts New Year's Eve. This one's really simple, you guys. You can probably say it starts on 1st January or not January, that's the number 5. So it starts on New, let me just write that in capital, New Year's Eve. Let me write that down as so, and Eve. Okay, and full stop. That's a comma, full stop, here we go. And then number 5, that was the one that I got confused with. End, so that's where it ends. 1st January or 2nd January, so 1 or 2. So I'll probably say it ends on 1st January, or 2nd January, right? And full stop. So it ends on 1st January or 2nd January. And then we have 6, name, New Year's gift. Okay, so I'm guessing the name as in Hogmanay means New Year's gift, right? So based on what I just assumed, we can say the name, and we'll say Hogmanay means New Year's, okay, year's gift, right? So the name Hogmanay means New Year's gift. And wow, we have quite the information here. We have during festival, people visit houses, neighbors, and take traditional gifts, for example, salt and coal. So how can I say this? I can say during the festival, and comma, people visit the houses of their neighbors and take traditional gifts, not gifts, but gifts. Traditional gifts such as what? Salt and coal? Wow, salt and coal considered gifts? That's weird. Such as salt and coal. And I think it's glitching a little bit, so yeah. During the festival, people visit the houses of their neighbors and take traditional gifts such as salt and coal. Full stop. Okay? And then we have number 8, evening, 1st January, special dinner. We'll probably say on the evening of 1st January, there is a special dinner. Right, you guys? So, basically, based on the information, you gotta write sentences down, and this is how we do it. So, the name of the festival is Hogmanay. It is very popular in Scotland. Hogmanay is over 500 years old. It starts on New Year's Eve. It ends on 1st January or 2nd January. The name Hogmanay means New Year's gift. During the festival, people visit the houses of their neighbors and take traditional gifts such as salt and coal. And finally, on the evening of 1st January, there is a special dinner. Okay, you guys? So now, let's move on to exercise G, making questions. I hope you wrote that down, because now we're going to be making questions about what we just wrote. So make a question about each piece of information in exercise F. So let me open this. Okay, so here we have again the information, and now we're going to be making questions instead of sentences. So name Hogmanay. So now that I know the name, I can probably say, what is the name of the festival, right? And question mark. Then what is number 2? Popular Scotland. I'll say, where is it popular? popular, right? Because he said it's popular in Scotland. Where is it popular? Then 3, we have over 500 years old. So we can say just simple, how old is it? Or how old is the festival? That sounds better. Festival. Question mark. How old is the festival? Then we have number 4. Starts New Year's Eve. This one's really simple. I can say, when does the Hogmanay start? So, when does the Hogmanay start? Question mark. And then number 5. Ends 1st January or 2nd January. If I'm gonna write that down, I'll say, when does the festival, again I keep making that same mistake, when does the festival end? Question mark. Okay, and then number 6, name New Year's gift. I'll say, what does the name Hogmanay mean? Right, you guys? Because he said here it means New Year's gift. So what does it mean? And then finally, number 7, we have we have one more. So during a festival, people visit the long pieces of information. We can probably say just a simple, what do people do on the, or what do people do during the festival? The festival. And then number 8, we have evening, 1st January / special dinner. For that, I'll just say, what happens on the evening, ing, what happens on the evening of 1st January, right? January. I don't know, my brain stopped working for a second. So what is the name of the festival? Where is it popular? How old is the festival? When does Hogmanay start? When does the festival end? What does the name Hogmanay mean? What do people do during the festival? And finally, what happens on the evening of 1st January? Okay, you guys? So these were the questions. Now let's move on. Okay, so here we have skills check 2, and you guys are going to need to understand this because now I think in the coming page we have an exercise based on this. So identifying singular and plural in the different sentences. It is sometimes difficult to hear singular and plural. Singular words can sometimes sound plural in a sentence, like we just said in the first sentence of this page. So listen for other sounds in the sentence. So here we have some examples where it can be kind of a hit or miss in identifying singular or plural. So the event's traditional, or the events are traditional. So based on the other words around the subject is how you can find if it's singular or plural. So don't rely on just there being an extra S to identify that a word is plural. No, take your time, realize that we also have a verb to be here that can be either is or are. Okay, so if I say the events are traditional, there is no way ever that here events is singular, right? But here if I say the event's traditional, it's short for saying the event is traditional, which is obviously singular. So always, stay calm, it's okay, and try your best to get it the first time, right? Because in the real world, I can't have you listening to a whole lecture again just based on you not identifying singular and plural and making a mistake on your notes. Okay, so try your best to identify it on the first time. Okay, and with pronouns, identifying singular and plural is easy. It's really not that hard. So you, he, she, it, that's obviously singular, and we, they is plural. That's just something that we can all agree on. Okay, so Now let's go to identifying a new skill 3. We have H, listen, number the subjects in order. There are extra subjects you do not need. Okay, so let me open this. Okay, so we're going to be numbering the subjects, and here's subjects of the sentences, okay? And we have extra subjects that we don't need, so just number the subjects in the correct order as we go, okay? So I'll be numbering them the first try as we go. Right, here we go.
Track 1.7.
1. After getting money from the bank, the man goes to the supermarket. 2. Before leaving home, the woman always turns off all the lights. 3. After playing football on Wednesday evening, the boy is very tired. 4. Before going to the ceremony, the girls make special presents. 5. After making speeches, the officials shake hands with the guests. 6. After listening to the speech, the students leave the hall. 7. After checking all the application forms, the manager makes a shortlist. 8. Before attending the interview, the candidates research the company. 9. After interviewing all the candidates, the interviewer chose the best one. 10. After hitting the rain droplets, the light splits into the colors of the rainbow.
Okay, and finally, the light is number 10. Okay, you guys, so that's how you number the subjects in order. That was a really simple exercise. Let's move on. Okay, so here we have skills check 3, joining sentences with the words after and before. So here we can join sentences in a certain sequence with after and before. And sometimes you can use an infinitive plus ing. So with after, we can also use the present perfect. I hope you guys know what the present perfect is. So it's has, have, plus the past participle. Okay, so here we have some examples. First event, the girl lights 16 candles, and the second event, then she sits on a chair. Okay, now if I want to add after to that, I'll say after lighting 16 candles, and then I'll keep going. That's how I basically joined two sentences. After she has lit 16 candles, these are two basically different ways of saying it. The girl sits on a chair, for example. Okay, so here we have making the past participle. So this is basically just some words, and we're going to write the past participle of each verb here. So we have buy. Obviously, buy, when it goes to past participle, becomes bought. Get becomes got. Make becomes made. Whole different word. For, from put to what, you guys? The same, put. Okay, does not change at all. See becomes saw, and 6 say becomes said. Okay, so bought, got, made, put, saw, said. Okay, now we're going to be joining sentences with after. So rewrite the first half of each sentence with the present perfect. Okay, so from the present perfect, from these examples, we're going to be adding the present perfect here. So let me open this. Okay, so we have, after putting on their special clothes, the boys and girls go to the town hall. If I'm going to rewrite that to the present perfect, how am I going to say it, you guys? I'll obviously start with after again, okay? But now I don't want to add ing, so how will I say that? I'll say after they have, not have put on their special clothes, the boys and girls go to the town hall, right? Then we have number 2. After saying hello to the boys and girls, an official makes a short speech. I'm going to change that to present perfect. So I'm going to say after, and I don't know exactly who's talking, so I'll probably say he/she, right? Has said hello. Oh, that's triple L. Has said hello to the boys and girls. An official makes a short speech. Okay, present perfect. Then number 3, we have after making a speech, the official gives each boy and girl a small present. And if I'm going to change that, I'll say again, after he/she has made a speech, the official gives each boy and girl a small present. So that is how you switch to the present perfect. Okay, you guys? And I think that's about it for listening. Yeah, that's about it for listening. Alright, you guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.